Welcome to the Higher Ed Retire Podcast with your host, Greg Shepard. Greg is a fee-only financial advisor who specializes in helping those in higher education to take control of their retirement. Since 2001, Greg has helped employees all over the country make the most of their retirement plans.
Hey there, folks. Greg Shepard here, your humble host, Higher Ed Retire Podcast. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in to this silly little podcast I've been doing for quite some time now. For those of you not familiar with me, again, Greg Shepard here. I have an investment management firm, fee only in the Kansas City area, but with the advancements and evolution of technology, I have the ability to work with anybody all over the country, just like yourself, trying to navigate those confusing waters of higher ed retirement plans. That's where I specialize and have been doing so for 20 plus years, 22 years now to be exact. Today's episode, going to be talking about options within TIAA Traditional. Okay, so I've been doing this podcast for quite some time. Have a YouTube channel that I was kind of talked into, but it's been pretty popular. It goes by the same name of Higher Ed Retire, so check that out if you so desire. A lot of good information, short clips there, 4 or 5 minutes or so to help you, again, navigate those tricky waters of those oftentimes confusing higher ed retirement plans. So, been contacted via email quite a few times here lately. People out there are confused, I guess is the right way. Maybe not confused, overwhelmed. I think overwhelmed is a better way to put it. When it comes to TIAA Traditional and what options are not only afforded to them, but what options they should even choose. Now, actually, before I get going, I always forget. Quick disclosure here. Here we go. Investment advisory services offered by me, Greg Shepard, as an investment advisor rep of S&A Financial Services, Inc., which is a registered investment advisor. By the way, S&A Financial Services, that is my firm. That's under the name that I operate under. So Higher Ed Retire, some of you are asking me, so Higher Ed Retire is the name of my podcast and YouTube. That's not the name of my actual firm. That is S&A Financial Services. So let's get going here. So again, overwhelmed, a lot of you out there as to what TIAA Traditional option to choose and what options are actually afforded to you. So what I've done, very simply, I'm sorry, before we get it going, not investment advice here, folks. What I'm going to talk about is just generalities. My job is really to help you, kind of give you tidbits of information to chew on, think about. By all means, contact TIAA. By all means, contact me. I help folks throughout the week, just like yourself, so feel free, don't be bashful, contact me, usually via email, greg@shepardfinancial.com. So that's greg@shepard financial.com. Don't hesitate, reach out to me, and I'll do the best I can to steer you in the right direction. Okay, now, I'm going to give you some information. If you were to call TIAA on your own, okay, great folks over there, a lot of folks over there, okay, so that's kind of good and bad. Sometimes you get some conflicting information when you're contacting TIAA. Again, it just comes with the size of that company. Their job is not really to direct you towards one option or another. They'll give you information on those options if you ask, okay? But a lot of times, the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. So it's hard to ask a question if you don't know the question actually exists or that solution exists, okay? Now, I will tell you this. They work for TIAA, okay? Let's all keep that in mind. I think we're all sensible people and realize that is the truth, that is fact. With that being said, they're going to try to maybe not direct you, but they're going to give you all the information you want to know about the most lucrative option that TIAA affords you, which is a lifetime income annuity option. Not necessarily bad. Doesn't fit every situation, though. So, with that being said, what I did is I pulled up one of my clients, right? I just randomly chose a client of mine that has TIAA, of course, and, TIAA Traditional, and I pulled up the options afforded to this person. So let me just rattle these off real quick, okay? So with this individual, now he's got, actually the dollar amount is irrelevant. Let me just get into this. Lifetime income annuity option, of course, okay? And I'll come back and kind of describe just certain scenarios, different situations that might be apropos or more useful for others. Okay, let's just get into it. Lifetime income annuity option, systematic withdrawals, interest-only option, TPA. That stands for transfer payout annuity. There's different kinds of transfer payout annuities, by the way, as I'm seeing on this individual's site. Different transfer payout annuities dependent upon what contract you have. So it goes a little deeper. It could be 7 years, could be 5 to 30 years, 10 years. That part gets a little tricky. Let's see. Fixed period annuity, and you got the RMDs for when you reach that age. Now, let me tell you this. The way I found this, a great tool for you to use when determining what option to choose, go into TIAA's website, go into the Retirement Income Illustrator. If you do not know where that is on your website, don't email and ask me because, that'll take up a lot of my time. And actually, I use an institutional website. Yours is a retail website, so it's a little different than mine. Just call TIAA, folks. They'll guide you right to it. They're more than happy to even walk you through it. But what this does for you is it gives you a visual, a grid maybe, if you will, of all the options available to you. Now, this is important because I'll start off with this. The interest-only option is an attractive option for some folks out there. I'll kind of piggyback off that here in just a bit. But it may not apply in your situation given the contracts that you have. If you utilize this Retirement Income Illustrator, it'll show you exactly what strategies are afforded to you, including if you have that interest-only option, which I'm not advocating that, okay, folks? I'm just saying that's been an attractive option. By the way, this is September going into October of 2023. That is very important because we are in very high rates when it comes to TIAA Traditional, and the Fed just announced they're going to keep those rates high for an extended period of time, which bodes well for that TIAA Traditional along with other fixed income products out there. Now I'm trying to bring my TIAA website back up. I mistakenly, it's going to log me out here. Dead air is not good for podcasts. Okay, here we are. So where was I getting at? So, what's also a cool feature about this Retirement Income Illustrator is you can drill down on like 2 or 3 different options and you can compare them, okay? So you drill down on 2 or 3 options and you click like continue or something. Then it brings up another, let's call it a grid, where you can see how each option kind of plays out. You need to visually see this rather than me verbally telling you. It's an awesome feature they afford to you all. You should take advantage of it, okay? Now, let's dive into this a little deeper. So I wouldn't even know where to start. So all of these options that are afforded to you can get a little confusing. So let's start with that TPA, the transfer payout annuity. That is something that is popular. A lot of people take advantage of it while they're still in service, right before they retire, or post-retirement, which is kind of a oxymoron there. Don't know. Okay. TPA, again, can mean many different things in terms of the time or years it takes to extract those monies. But some contracts, depending upon, if you've retired, because sometimes you have a 2.5% penalty or haircut you can take to extract those monies as a lump sum, which, by the way, this just dawned on me. I'm almost positive in the Retirement Income Illustrator, they do not show that option. Let me repeat that. So let me dive into that real quick. There are some contracts you have where you can elect upon a certain time period after separation of service, i.e. retirement, you can take 100% of that TIAA Traditional monies out of an illiquid contract, typically rolled over to an IRA, take a 2.5% haircut or penalty on those assets. Yes, I have done this for clients, more than you think, because a lot of times it makes sense to do so. I'm not saying it makes sense for you. I want you to know that that is an option for a lot of you out there that will not be shown. Maybe some of you can correct me on that out there. I don't recall seeing that option on the Retirement Income Illustrator, okay? So that's a kind of a downfall of that Illustrator. Nonetheless, it is a good tool for you to use. Those TPAs. On that Retirement Income Illustrator, it should show you what TPA options are afforded to you given the contract, whether it's an 84-month TPA, 10-year TPA paid out over 9 years. It should direct you towards those options, okay? Lifetime income annuity option, of course, is going to tell you that. It's going to be the number one option on top of the, we'll call it the grid here. But keep in mind, what you need to do is also go to the column where it says considerations. Okay, that lifetime income annuity option, a lot of folks out there get confused. Again, confused isn't the right word maybe, but regardless, That lifetime income annuity option they're showing you up front is for a single lifetime annuity option, okay? Let's make sure we all realize that. Now, if you've listened to my podcasts or watched YouTube videos, single lifetime annuity option. It says it all in the name. Single life. You are the single life. So once that single life, you expire, guess what your money does? It expires along with you, okay? Unless you're attaching some sort of guaranteed benefit option on there, which is typically for a child, like you're a single person. There's many scenarios as to where this would fit, but keep in mind that single life annuity option, it highlights the dollar amount paid to you per year. It highlights it with a yellow highlight, I guess. That's going to be the most that's afforded to you, that's paid to you, single life annuity option. Once you start throwing on a joint annuity, typically a spouse, or you start throwing on guaranteed periods for children, typically, that's how it works, it's going to start knocking down those payments. So make sure you're aware on the retirement income illustrator, the lifetime income annuity option, it's going to be a single life annuity option, which is the most lucrative for you, but probably for most folks out there, not the best option, okay? Now, some folks have no idea what an interest-only option is, okay? So let me kind of get into that. I did say earlier I was going to piggyback off that. This would, let's see, I've enacted or initiated this for a few folks here in the last, 6 months or so. I'm going to give you a generalization here, okay? So this particular client that I'm looking at, his TIAA Traditional, again, dead air, is looking at 6%. So we put some money into his TIAA Traditional relatively, it's 2023, so it wasn't that long ago. And so he realized the high rates, he's getting 6%. The interest-only option in his case probably wouldn't make much sense because typically, folks, I'm emphasizing this, typically, okay, that interest-only option is going to get you 5 point something percent, probably no more than 5.5%. Each situation is going to be a little different, okay, depending upon what contract and the different variables that go along with that. So if you have a TIAA Traditional account, probably an old account, okay, that's getting 3s. Okay, I see that a lot. 3s, we're talking about percent here, 3-ish, high 3s, low 4s. This interest-only option means you can convert that balance into an interest-only payment, basically directing that interest that is produced by TIAA Traditional towards like an IRA, a rollover IRA, then you can extract from that rollover IRA. We're looking at about 5.25%. Again, typically, folks, make sure you call TIAA or contact me, and I can give you specific information on that. But in this case, if you got 3.85% on your old legacy buckets of TIAA Traditional, and you don't necessarily need that money now, but you want to earn more on it, folks, flip it to an interest-only payment, direct it towards an IRA. It's a non-taxable event. Defer those monies in the IRA, and you just converted 3.8 up to 5.2 in this, or 5.25. Interest only. That balance, okay, in the TIAA Traditional stays there. It doesn't do anything. It just stays there. Okay, stagnant, which is fine. Okay, you have to initiate and keep this strategy for at least 12 months. After that, you can do something different. Okay, or you can just continue it. Right. So that's an awesome feature for those of you out there. It's just various scenarios where this fits. But maybe this maybe you have an old bucket of money in TIAA Traditional that you don't necessarily need, and it's just getting high 3s or low 4s. Say, hey, well, I like 5.25 better than 3.8. Well, let's do the interest-only option, okay? And paperwork associated with that, of course. Now, let's take in consideration contract to contract, okay? Now, again, Retirement Income Illustrator is not going to show you this, but this would be enforced for those that are currently working, okay? There's a strategy out there that I'm getting ready to do. Actually, I initiated some paperwork today where you initiate a TPA, okay? So this person, make sure I get this example correct, was getting, I can't remember exactly, X% on her TIAA Traditional, okay? Liquid money here, liquid money. And old money, she's been there a long time, accumulated throughout the years. And what we did, Did I say liquid? Gosh, I'm losing my... It's Friday afternoon, folks. So she had an illiquid TIAA Traditional account. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get this correct. Illiquid TIAA Traditional account. We initiated a 10-year, I think it was 10-year TPA on that TIAA Traditional. It's quite a bit of money, okay? So the TIAA Traditional TPA paid out over 9 years. We're going to initiate that. That money is going to be directed to her current contract while she's currently employed, okay? So it goes to the default fund in this case, which I think it's a money market. Then what we're going to do, folks, we're going to take that money that the TPA produced, okay, whatever that is, and we are going to direct those monies to a liquid contract, TIAA Traditional, and get into TIAA Traditional at a higher rate than what she had in that illiquid contract. Okay, it's a contract to contract. Again, more paperwork. And that gets a little more cumbersome. But that is a strategy that's afforded to you. So the TIAA Traditional, folks, I can't emphasize this enough. I've done podcasts, I've done YouTube clips, videos, whatever they're called, explaining certain strategies. And some of you out there get it, and some of you have, you're lost in the weeds, which is perfectly fine. Now, when you call TIAA, again, their job is really to explain things, not direct you or give you advice. They're great at what they do. You folks need to out there need to arm yourself with as much information as possible. It can be overwhelming, okay? And then Retirement Income Illustrator is a great tool for you to utilize. And I'll tell you this. Again, I have nothing written down here. I'm just kind of winging this episode. Some of the more popular options, typically, folks, what you're going to do is you're going to be close to retirement, right? And then you're going to start looking at your account, and you're going to realize, hey, I've got all this money in TIAA Traditional. What am I going to do with this? Typically, folks, again, maybe not for you, you're going to opt for a lifetime income annuity option. Okay, that's the safest, easiest, most predictable source of income. Personally, I don't think I shouldn't say it's not the best, because that's not true. It can work out there's so many different factors out there, right? The lifetime income annuity option could very well be a great option for you, okay? But again, the popular options out there, lifetime income annuity option, TPA, transfer payout annuity, is probably the most popular option I work with, if that's the right way to put it. Interest only has become very popular given rates, okay? Contract to contract, swaps, okay, I guess I'll call them, while still employed, has been very popular, again, given high rates. And to piggyback off that those higher rates, again, September, October here, 2023, the Fed just announced they're going to keep the rates, Fed funds rates where they are, and they're going to keep them high for an extended period of time. Again, there's not a direct correlation out there, but I get a lot of questions out there as to, what are the rates going to do? Going up, going down next month, yada, yada, yada. Folks, I don't know. And you call TIAA, they're not going to know either. It's up to the TIAA's board to dictate what those rates are going to be each month for new monies going in. Okay? Odds are they're not going to move too much. This is just my opinion. Not going to move too much given the Fed funds aggressive rate hike the last 12, 13, 14, 15 months. They're going to plateau that rate, maybe cut it, maybe raise it a little bit here and there, but we're pretty much at the peak, I would guess, around the peak right now. So keep that in mind if you're looking to strategize with these rates. You might get a little better than they are now, but, is it really worth splitting hairs? Okay? That's just my opinion. If you contact me, I'd be more than happy. I'm very blunt with my opinions. That's what folks pay me for, so I don't really beat around the bush when it comes to that kind of stuff. Again, this episode is kind of, I think I had it to where we were talking about TIAA Traditional strategies. A lot of you folks out there are getting a little confused. I wanted to point you towards that Retirement Income Illustrator on your website. But just know that there could be more strategies around TIAA Traditional that you just don't know about, nor will be shown on that Retirement Income Illustrator. Okay? Case in point is that 2.5% penalty you can take on the accumulated balance in an illiquid contract, roll those monies over to a rollover IRA, no tax liability, and invest it accordingly, and siphon or extract from that rollover IRA for income as you need it in the future. okay? I know it gets confusing. I know it gets overwhelmed. You get overwhelmed. Just reach out for help, whether it's from me, TIAA, or another fee-only financial advisor in your area that does specialize, folks. That does specialize in working with higher ed retirement plans. I can't tell you enough that folks get wrapped up with their local advisor, and folks, that local advisor doesn't have a clue about TIAA Traditional or TIAA CREF in general. So make sure that person, he or she, is knowledgeable about those higher ed retirement plans, okay? This is your financial future we're talking about. That's enough for today's episode, folks. Hey, I appreciate if you were listening all the way through here. Greg Shepard, Higher Ed Retire Podcast, telling you all out there to take control of your retirement today. Take care, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Retire Podcast. Just because this episode is over doesn't mean you can't continue your retirement journey. Please visit www.higheredretire.com to see how you can work with Greg or to simply ask him a question. Thanks again.
S&A Financial Services is a registered investment advisor. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and/or tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.